Hello, welcome back to the radio room. Still working on the Drake 2C. I do have all but one capacitor changed in it. And it's the funky one that I was telling you all about earlier that didn't really match that. But this board's, well, you guys can't see it. This board right here is going to be fun to get out of there, and there's no other way to get to the contacts or the solder points on it, so that's going to come later. I want to see if I can get the radio working first before I go and deal with trying to get that one capacitor changed out. If I can't get the radio working, it's not going to make a difference. I have made a little bit of progress in trying to get it to work. If you noticed before, I had the volume all the way up and you just barely hear a hiss. Well, I've been poking and prodding and checking things and everything else in here. I still think the RF amplifier is down a little bit. But I did find a different problem, or to tell you the truth, I got frustrated. I had the radio sitting here, nothing was going on, so I pulled out something to tap with and started tapping all over the radio. Actually, I had flipped over. I was tapping on top of on tubes. I was tapping on the variable capacitors, tapping on the transformers, and I got to one where when I tap on it, it would make more noise through the speaker. Well, then I got to just playing around with it and really tapping on that one transformer, and about scared myself to death. I had a tiny little signal generator going into the radio at the time. I really thought I blew something up because this absolute squeal came out of the speaker. Well, it was the tone I was putting into it. I had a modulated signal going into it, so it went from nothing to a lot better. So right now I'm going to turn the radio on, and I think it's actually working right now. It'll take a second for the tubes to warm back up. Let me turn a signal onto it. Yeah, it's working now. So let me turn make sure the volume's down. Let me put a signal into it. And you can probably hear that tone. Well, right here, where this gray cable's going in, there's a probably can't see it real well on the camera, but there's a transformer right there, and it's part of the oscillator for the third mixer. It also helps to set the BFO tone to make sure everything's right, so your BFO tone matches at the 50 kilohertz at the BFO. Well, if I take that transformer and I just wiggle it a little bit, it goes away. Well, there's a couple of capacitors here, and there's also that are attached to the legs, and if I wiggle the legs, on the transformer, sound comes back. So, I've probably found one of the problems in the radio. But, first off, that's not a very strong signal. I'm going to go to... Let me go to... that's sideband. So it's working, however, first off, I have nothing on the signal, on the S meter. It does get quite loud, but that's about an S plus 50 signal level I'm putting into it. I might be losing a little bit through my really, hacked together adapter here. But I should be able to take this thing a lot further down than that. Let me take this level down some more. Let's go to negative. I was at negative 20, I believe. Let's go to negative 30 dB. Can still hear it. Let's go down another 5. Still hear it. Let's go to negative 45. I can just barely hear that. Negative 45 would be about an S9 plus 30 signal level. So it could be part of this, but it just does not seem like it's got a whole lot of receive. Of course, it might need a lot of alignment and stuff. Let me turn that off. But I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm kind of afraid that transformer has a break in it, and seriously doubt I would be able to find that transformer. I don't even know the specifications on it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out as much as possible. Just undo what I have to do, go into it as much as possible, and see if I can still get it out of there. It goes to a external to it. If you don't count the capacitors that are across it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connections. If the capacitors will make it down through the hole, I can probably pull the whole transformer out and perhaps see if I can, maybe the top will come off and I can see if there's a pin that's broke off the coil inside of there. Wow, I'm hoping this isn't the end of this project, especially since I ordered a whole complement of tubes for it. They haven't come in, so hopefully I can fix that. If not, I don't know what to do. It's going to go back on the shelf probably unless I can find that transformer. But that's where we're at. I'm hoping I can fix that, because yeah. So I wiggle that one around real hard now and it doesn't do anything. See, that's what, and I'm holding the other side of it. So that actually is kind of weird. It's when I wiggle the whole thing. So I'm wondering, I have been staring at this dang thing forever now, trying to see if something's moving, hitting. Let me try just squeezing it. Push it that way, push it that way on the other side, it kills it. I pull it this way, and it brings it back. You know something? I'm gonna try something really quick here. There's a glob of solder down there. I don't think it's hitting anything. Oh. Well, that's interesting. This might be a simpler fix than I think. Let me do something here. Well, look at that. I just gotta leave my swizzle stick in and it'll be good. What's happening is, and I really had to get down there. Maybe it was just a different light. I've been looking at this thing for an hour. Trying to figure out what was going on. Wow. Let me see if I can undo that. That would be the problem right there. There is... Okay, I'm going to turn this off so things don't get too wild. Get this unhooked. And for reference, assuming I get this radio actually working right, we're not going to use this for operation. I've ordered an SO239 to RCA phono adapter, which will be here. I'm not really sure. I'll just reference one of my favorite franchises. It's supposed to be installed next Tuesday. Y'all sci-fi fans might have got that one. So, what looks like's happening is right here. This is the transformer, and this right here is a lock that goes down into it. It's got clips. It's spring loaded. They push like this. So underneath the chassis would be where my fingers are. So it comes through the chassis, and it's got a little hook to it. And you spring them in and out like this to get the transformer in and out. Well, this right here, on the other side, is actually hitting one of the legs on that transformer. So that's why when I pull it one way, it would push it into it, and I'd pull it the other way, and it'd pull it away from it. When I put my swizzle stick in there, it was just keeping it from hitting it, and I could wiggle it all over the place, and it never quit. I like that. I can do something about that. I will put a piece of heat shrink or something on it, just to keep it from touching it. Or something in there to keep this out where it needs to be. So, I'm going to verify that one more time. I'm going to hook this back up. We're going to listen to it with a tone. Right now I'm on 3.8 megahertz. We'll probably check some other ones as well. The radio is out of alignment, so it's a little fun sometimes finding the frequency. But it's in there. That's negative 45 dB. You can kind of hear it. I don't know if y'all can hear that tone. Let me give it just a little bit more signal here so we can hear it better. Let's go to negative 15 dB. Oh, that's loud. Also going to go to AM. Let's go to AM. And I I am going to reinsert. I actually had to have the radio sitting up here. Let me turn this down just a little bit. I had to have the radio sitting up here. I had it in a totally different configuration earlier. First off, yep, I can see it when it hits it. That guy just needs to stay popped back there like that. And I can wiggle everything to my heart's content. And it does not go away. So that's a good thing. So maybe this is just going to get a little bit of some test. I'm going to realign this radio and see if I can get it to work a little bit better. It's kind of a long process that takes a whole lot of cussing sometimes. Actually, it's not that bad. The hardest part of it is I'm trying to do it with the tools I have, which I'm getting better with that one. But yeah, I like that a lot better. So I just need to find something to put in there to guarantee that that's never going to hit that again. See, now it actually moves itself over with vibration, it looks like, possibly. So I need to find something. You know, I might be able to slide something in on the top where it's coming through to keep it sprung out better. But once I can keep that away from there, we're in a lot better shape. So the Drake is slowly coming back together. Now, when I purchased this radio, I purchased it at Hamfest tailgate. We had, I guess it's been probably a while back. Wow, it's probably been close to 8 years. I guess when I bought this. And the guy told me, he said it quit. He didn't know what was wrong with it. Couldn't find anything wrong with it that he was. Of course, I've been racking my head for nearly a week on this thing, trying to figure out exactly what was the problem. It had no receive. I was starting to wonder, okay, is the RF amp just bad? Maybe the tube's bad. I kind of narrowed that one down. The 100 kilohertz calibrator uses the same tube in it as the RF amplifier, and I did swap those. And I was like, well, okay, it's the same tube. Yeah, chances are both tubes aren't bad. But that didn't help. And I've been trying to trace. I've been injecting signals in here, and I mean, gosh, awful loud signals. And I could finally start kind of getting something out of here, and I'm talking signals that this thing should never have to go into it, which probably wasn't the wisest thing. But I was getting frustrated, and I really needed to make sure that something was getting through there, and I could just barely hear anything. And I'm talking like glue an ear to the speaker to find any signal coming through it. Until, like I said, I wiggled that, and I had the volume turned up pretty loud, and that got pretty funny. So let me see if I can. I'm gonna get something in there. I need to think about this because it's really a crowded little spot in there. But I got to keep that one tab from coming over and hitting that. I can't just put heat shrink over the leg. It's got too much stuff coming onto it. I'd never be able to get to the bottom of it. So I'll figure something out on that. Keep that from touching that. I don't want to just put a piece of tape in there. It might not stay. But I'll find something to kind of isolate that, keep that from happening again. And probably see about doing a little bit of an alignment. Like I said, I do have some tubes coming in, so I might swap some tubes out. Like I said, it's still down pretty far. This is negative 15 dB, which we're talking, that's like an S9 plus 50 noise level, or signal level, and my S meter's not even moving. So either the S meter's way out of calibration, or we still have problems. But we're getting further on. And hopefully, maybe it just needs a new tube, or RF amplifier tube in it. I'm not sure. But we're making progress, and that's definitely getting my hopes back up on getting this radio to receiving again and working again. I'm glad that was kind of simple, because really I was just about to the point the soldering iron was already warmed up. I was starting to take out the components in here. Maybe I ought to turn this off before I start sticking my hands in here. Fortunately, the highest voltage in here is about 135 volts, which will tingle and make you jump a little bit, but at least it's not much higher than that. I've already found line voltage a couple of times over here by the meter. Well, it's not line voltage, it's just the, well, actually it is line voltage, because I was by the switch somewhere. Oh, I was over here, I was by the switch. Put my hand across that tingled a little. I'm glad that it looks like that transformer's not bad. The reason why I'm saying is that there's really nothing to make that transformer go bad. Vibration, yeah, okay, maybe, but not likely. I mean, things are pretty sturdy. They don't look like it, but they're pretty sturdy. The pin's going into it. There's really nothing that should make it move around. The only thing I was thinking is, if it got too much current through it, that could burn some leads. And if that's the case, there's probably no resoldering it. If it's burned a wire out on it. It's possible you could maybe take a winding off, get back to some good stuff, and put it back, and then hope that the inductance is still going to be enough that you can adjust it with the tuning slug to get it back to what it needs to do. But I'm going to go through probably and get a quick, try to do a quick alignment. I've done some alignment on it. I did start following the directions, which starts kind of over at the BFO and kind of moves backwards from there. From there. Now this is the third mixer. So the IF amp, I went back through to the IF amp. Everything was good there. Alignment was going nice. I got to here, to this tube here. It was doing some signal injection on it, trying to align the oscillator here for the 405 and 460, no, 505 and 405 kilohertz, which gives you your upper sideband and your lower sideband. It's frequencies that beat with that. It produces an IF of like 405, which then beats with the 50 kilohertz BFO, which lets you demodulate the sideband. That would be lower sideband. And then the 400 or 505 does the other sideband. So it gives you a 50 kilohertz beat with the BFO. Once you've gotten that taken care of, then you're just left with the product of the signal. And I'll probably make a video and kind of do a run through on the schematic on kind of how this radio works, how it goes from being a signal at the antenna all the way through to coming out at the speaker. Just a quick run through on how it mixes, which way it's mixing things together, and running through the three convert mixers, and then coming out to the audio amp. I'll probably make a video on that. But in this case, I need to find something to insulate that and see if I can't get this aligned a little bit better. And then probably after I got everything good, I'll probably change this capacitor real quick. Get it back to the original value. One other thing that I do want to point out, let me get this a little better into frame here. Right down here, right there, is a capacitor. And if you watch the previous video, you're probably wondering, that doesn't look like the same capacitor. Give me just a second, I'll find you the other capacitor. So when I recap this thing, I put all the capacitors in the same direction they were in before, and this is the new capacitor that I put in that came in the recap kit. Probably can't tell real well, but the end of this is a little deformed. It's kind of got a little poofy out right there. I'm not sure you can tell, but it's got some discoloration, a little bit of discoloration on this end. Most of the stuff came off, but I was working on this trying to figure out why it wasn't working. And pop. Well, it just frustrated me, so I popped a cap off in it. What happened was this was sitting in here, and electrolytics don't like being put in backwards. Now, the one that was sitting there, the original one, which I'll have to grab real quick. This one right here. This one right here. You know, it's got a positive, negative on it. Well, it was sitting the same way. I'm sitting in here like this. So positive was up. And I had this one positive up. So this is either one heck of a capacitor, or it was already bad. And probably like popped bad. The reason why I'm saying that is that I was putting these in, just replaced them, putting them back in the same way they were, and I went back after this one popped, and I looked at the schematic. Let me see if I can get that pulled up for you real quick. Alright, let's see here. Let me get you pulled up real quick. So that capacitor is right here. And notice that negative right there? Well, when you're running between a negative rail and your chassis ground, they go in backwards. See the plus right here? It's on the ground side of it, which kind of goes against normal convention, but you have to look at this as more of a what's more positive as far as potential. Well, when you have a negative voltage, that is a lower potential than ground. So your more positive side is your ground. So that capacitor actually has to go in backwards. So don't put capacitors in backwards. That was a nice little pop flash. But the radio still worked, or at least it didn't work any worse. That does filter, I believe that has to do with the AVC circuit. Feeds power from the AVC, and that voltage is changed by the AVC, which changes the control grid voltages on the RF amp, the IF amp, and I want to say the third mixer. It might do the second mixer as well. It changes the control grid voltage, which makes the tube either on or off, more on or off, which changes the signal level. It doesn't let the signal pass through as well, which keeps you from having your signals go way up high and you're constantly playing with the volume, and it changes the gain. So it probably had a pretty dirty AVC voltage, a lot of ripple on it. In fact, the thing about it was I was actually on, I believe, the control grid, had it on the oscilloscope, and it was ugly. And that was and this was after I changed it. And about 5 or 10 minutes after that is when it popped. Might have been not that long, a couple of minutes. So I think it failed and then it popped. So it had a very dirty signal on it right there. But we'll get that insulated right there. Try to do an alignment, and hopefully we'll be back with a much better working radio. Like I said, I do have some tubes coming in for it. So I might change the AF amp or the RF amp tube out on it. See if that gives us some more gain. An alignment might help on this, especially on the pre-selector. The pre-selector might not be quite in. I don't know what all was done to the radio when the previous person was trying to maybe fix it. So things might be a little off. But until next time, I'm kind of glad I found that. I really thought that transformer, I was going to have to take it apart and see if I could get it back together or something. And that was not going to be fun. That's a pretty tight little spot to work in right there. But I'm glad it's something simple like that. And sometimes just find something and start tapping on stuff. Sometimes you can find the problem. Maybe tap a little lighter, kind of get to that area where you think, well, that seems to have the most effect. And that's how I found that one. I was tapping on it, and then I grabbed a hold of it and just moved it around. And oh my God, I got a tone through the radio. That's good. So sometimes it's not a bunch of equipment to find a problem. And then it turns out you got to get it on camera and start making a video before you actually look at something at the right angle and go, hey, that's what's going there. So it was just dragging down that pin to ground. Fortunately, it's not a high voltage pin right there. It's just going over to the band switch, and it's part of the tuning circuit. So there's not a lot of voltage right here. But alrighty, let me get to this. Y'all get back to drinking your favorite beverage. It's kind of a cool rainy day out today, but we're gonna see if we can't get this radio a little bit further down to working good. I'm gonna enjoy using it once I get it fixed, working right. Bye for now.